Hey y'all, it's Coach in the Fight here, looking in the Shepherd of Hermas. This is the William Wake translation, and I wanted to try to finish out this series on commands. We're already up to command 8, and that is that we must flee from evil and do good works. Okay, so let's jump right into it. I have told thee, said he, that there are two kinds of creatures of the Lord, and there is a twofold abstinence. From some things, therefore, thou must abstain, and from others not. Okay, now he told us this in the previous command 7 now, and in other various places, but you can look in command 7 and see what he's talking about, how he told us of these two creatures. But let's go on. Verse 2 says, I answered, declare to me, sir, from what must I abstain, and from what not? Okay, so what must I do and what must I do? What must I do? What must I not do? Hearken, said he, keep thyself from evil. Okay, and do it not, yet abstain not from good, but do it. For if thou shalt abstain from what is good and not do it, thou shalt sin. Abstain therefore from all evil, and thou shalt know all righteousness. Okay, now this is pretty much what he's saying here is, okay, the evil things of life we are to abstain from, and the good things of life we are to do. You say, well, duh, everybody should have known that. Well, let's see what he says. Maybe he's going to expound on, what he means. He has several more verses here. Let's see what else he says. Verse 3 says, I said, what evil things are they from which I must abstain? Hearken, said he, from adultery. That is an evil thing, right? That's when we, have extracurricular marital, activity or such. But the thing about adultery in 2018, we only think of marriage in terms of certificates. So if we don't have a marriage paper, if we never stood in front of a judge or a preacher or whoever and got officially married with a government seal on our paper, we're not considered married. So there's a whole bunch of girlfriends and boyfriends out here who don't know that they are actually committing adultery, because the biblical definition of marriage doesn't involve paper. It doesn't involve judges and preachers either. A lot of people are married that don't even know it. Let me just put it like that. One another thing we're supposed to abstain from is drunkenness. Okay. Now we hear about this a lot in the New Testament, where he talks about people being drunkards. Now this doesn't necessarily say you're not supposed to drink. It's kind of saying that you're not supposed to be drunk all the time, a drunkard, or all the time. Supposed to abstain from riots. Right? We haven't seen many riots lately, but we're going to see a few here coming up here as these flood waters increase. A lot of people are going to start rioting, especially when the food shortages, start coming. But are we to partake in that? I'm about to run down to Walmart and stock up too. I would like to, but I can't, because it said to abstain from riots, from excess of eating. Now we heard about gluttony. Well, that's another thing we're supposed to abstain from daintiness and dishonesty. Now daintiness is, we know what dishonesty is, a lot of us do, but daintiness, it says delicacy, elegance, gracefulness, refinement, prettiness, neatness, depthness, exquisiteness. I don't even use many of these words, but so we are to abstain from this, So elegant lifestyle, we're supposed to abstain from it. Well, you could kind of think of all of the luxury items associated with it, but let's go on. And then he said abstain from dishonesty, from pride. Now, this may be one that we haven't thought about, is that pride is not a good thing. We all think we're supposed to, have some sort of, pride about ourselves, or, feel good about ourselves. We kind of think when we're proud, but no, that's something different. And it's not really looked upon as a good thing in the Bible. Pride is not, what does it say? Pride falls before man, meaning that, you're going to see that proud man boasting of his stuff. Come back and check him a little while later and see, don't he get knocked off, as they say. From fraud. We're supposed to abstain from fraud. What is that? What is fraud? We know. Well, deception, scam, scheme, con, swindle, racket, deceit, or fake. So we don't be fake around people. We abstain from lying. We don't tell mistruths or that kind of stuff. Detain from detraction. Okay, what is detraction? Detraction is slander, abuse, disparagement, or aspersion, disintegration, calumny, um, um, or lessening, with the opposite being praise. So the opposite of praise, we're supposed to praise people, not slander them. Another thing we're supposed to abstain from is hypocrisy. Now, there's a lot of hypocrisy in our churches today, as a lot of the people, are preaching to be holy, preaching to be sanctified, preaching to, listen to what the Bible says, but then, they're not really listening, doing what the Bible says. They're kind of just talking. They don't really know that when they say be holy, they're saying follow the commands of Moses. And so they're hypocrites, because they're saying be holy and they ain't following the commands of Moses. So they ain't holy, but they preaching holy. That's a hypocrite. From remembrance of injuries. Now this one is a tough one for me, because I've abstained so many injuries. And, it's like, the injuries don't go away. It's one thing if somebody steps on your foot and keeps going, and you looking, at them walk away, that's it's real easy, to not remember that injury. But what if the person is still standing on the injury, or what if he fully intends to come back and step on your foot again? Well, that makes it harder to not remember those injuries, knowing that that person's going to do it again. But we have to. We have to abstain from remembrance of injuries, because it does a lot of harm to us. This is what they say, holding grudges or holding resentment. We can't do that. That's a really bad one. Take it from me. And from all evil speaking. Okay. So now these are the things we are to abstain from. Now he did, put some stuff in it that we wasn't really expecting, as far as the unrighteous things. So let's go on, see what else he says. Verse 4. For these are the works of iniquity. From now, I think it was command 6, where we learned that we have two spirits that dwell with man, the angel of, or the spirit of righteousness, and then the spirit of iniquity. So these are the works of the spirit of iniquity, from which the servant of God must abstain. For he that cannot keep himself from these things cannot live unto God. Meaning, if you can't stop being a slanderer, or remembering injuries, or if you can't stop telling lies or frauding people, well, you're not going to live under God. Meaning, well, I'm not going to go into what it means to live unto God, because he's very specific about that. And I can't remember exactly what he says. I should, but I don't. Need to go check that second again. Doesn't sound good, whatever it is. You cannot live unto God, you're going to die unto God. None of us wants to die. 5. But here, said he, what follows of these kinds of things? For indeed many more there are from which the servant of God must abstain. Okay, but here said he, what follows of these kind of things? Okay, so he's going to expound on the evil things even further. For indeed many more there are from which the servants of God must abstain. From theft, right? It's cheating, false witness, which sounds a lot like lying, but maybe it's different since he listed it twice. From covetousness. Now, covetousness is one thing that we're not really thinking about as a, as a race of people, or as all of humanity. But he's talking about looking up on, other people's stuff and wanting that stuff, and, it's really hard, because it's so easy to do, especially if somebody pulls in a car in the yard with a new car, or you go visit them at their house, or you eat dinner with them and you're like, man, I wish I had, this kind of stuff that these guys have. Well, what that does is it takes you out of your position. It takes you out of being, complacent with what the Lord has given you, and actually wanting to go forth. And if you try to get those things, well, you're going to have to abandon a lot of your spiritual walk to get that new house or to get that new car and such. From boasting, right? So we are abstaining from boasting. It goes along with being proud, right? boasting about our accomplishments. We have to remember that it is the Lord who has allowed us to accomplish everything that we have, whether it's our education, whether it's our financial wealth, or whatever it is, even our beauty. We cannot boast of how pretty we are, because really we had nothing to do with it. And all other things of like nature. Right? Verse 6. Do these things seem to thee to be evil or not? Yeah, they seem to be evil, when you think about them. Indeed, they are very evil to the servants of God. Now, the ones who are not, or the servants of Belial, this is what they do. This is how they live. But to the servants of God, it's harmful. Wherefore the servant of God must abstain from all of these works. Verse 7, keep thyself therefore from them, that thou mayest live unto God, and be written among those that abstain from them. And thus have I shown thee what things thou must avoid. Now learn from what thou must abstain. Okay, so these are the things that we don't do. You don't do all of these things, but what do we actually do? Now, remember in the first, 3 verses, he had this do good. Well, he said do bad, and he expounded upon that. Well, let's see him expound upon what it means to do good. Abstain not from any good works, but do them. Okay, so he said this is a command. So he's commanding us to do good works. Well, nobody's really thought about that. We know that we're not supposed to do bad stuff, but nobody's thought about a command that we have to do good stuff. You mean I have to get up off of my bed and actually go do something for somebody to fulfill the commandments of the Lord? Yep, that's what it's saying. Here said he, what the virtue of those good works is, and what thou must do, that thou mayest be saved. And now, be saved, is that the opposite of live unto God? I'm going to do a class on that live unto God thing, because it's really important, and I don't remember exactly what it is. But, I'm sure it's similar to what he's talking about here, being saved. The first of all is faith. Now, here's the stuff we're supposed to do. First of all is faith. Now, this is Hermas Academy. We teach virtues, power, patience, continence, and faith. Faith is the first one. I put them in that order only because I made up a song called, power, patience, continence, faith, as a way of remembering those things. It's supposed to be, really, really, really strong in my life. But, faith comes first. Faith comes first. Then the fear of the Lord. Okay. Now, faith is believing that the Lord can do all things, but that doesn't necessarily mean you fear Him. So to fear Him meaning you abstain from a lot of things, and you don't do those things because you know that your Father is looking at you. But okay, we're supposed to do charity. Now, charity. Let me look up the synonym for charity. It says aid, help, assistance, contributions, gifts, donations, offerings, or handouts. This is stuff. We got to do stuff for people. A lot of people, say charity is love. And then, we say, well, I love you. And then that's charity. No. Just because you love me don't mean you're doing nothing for me. If you truly love me, you would be doing stuff. There would be actual charity behind it. I would actually see something. Maybe you bring me a glass of water or something or another. There's some action behind this charity. It's not just a feeling of love. Concord. What's concord? I'm on computer. Yeah. Agreement, harmony, accord, accordance, unity, friendship, peace, and conflict is the opposite. So we ought to be in concord. So now, are we always going to be in concord with everybody? You might not be in concord with the children of Belial, but we learn in the Third Testament of the Bible that when we find ourselves faced with a child who is or a person who is not walking according to the laws of Moses, we are not to condemn the person, but I think it says extend the veil of tolerance. I believe is what it said. And I can go look at it, but I think it said extend that veil of tolerance so that you get along, so that we getting along. We ain't got to sit here and have a debate over whether you're supposed to be doing that thing. I'll just let them do it, and let the Lord handle it. And that way we can not be fighting and arguing all the time, even though they are the children of Belial. Anyway, let's go. Now, so we ought to have concord with our brothers. Now, another thing we are supposed to have is equity, which is kind of fairness. Let's look that up. Even-handedness, fairness, impartiality, justice, justness, parity, or fair play, with the opposite being injustice. So this is one of the things you're supposed to do: be fair with our with everybody we come in contact with. I ain't gonna say our friends and our neighbors, no, because anybody could be fair with your friends and neighbors. What about the people? What about your enemies and strangers? You have to be fair with those too. So these are the things we run to: truth. Right? And the truth being, the truth, it should have capitalized it there. Truth being the biblical truth, not, um, individual truths, because they do vary from person to person. Another thing is patience. We have to be patient, because that's one, especially when it deals with the Lord, because He doesn't give us things when we want Him. Well, neither does our brothers. They're and they don't do the things as quickly as we think they should, or they don't get it as fast as they should, or and our patience gets tested. Well, when our patience gets tested, it's going to start to affect other areas in our life that like we might start to get a little sad, or can't find the right word. Might be in despair, or thinking it never happened, kind of giving up, kind of all that kind of stuff comes without being patient. Where if you could be patient, you can wait on the Lord, and He's going to come through for you, in your time of need. And chastity. Let's look up chastity. I think it's there's no synonym. Well, it's the opposite of adultery, right? We supposed to be chaste and keep ourselves from those things. It has something to do with why is it not spelled right? Why there was no synonym for chastity? Anyway, let's go on. There is nothing better than these things in the life of men. Who shall keep and do these things in their life? Here next what follows these. So these are the good things. So let's see what happens when you do these. A person who's doing this, you'll see him ministering to the widows, not despising the fatherless and the poor, talking about children who don't have dads, or may be of a single parent home, or their parents may be going through something, and then the poor, talking about maybe homeless or poor children or what. So those that are actively out here looking out for these people are following the angel of righteousness, or following these commands and doing those good things which is commanding us to do, to redeem the service of God from necessity. Now this is big. Why? Because the servants of God have some necessity. It doesn't really. It seems counterintuitive that the servants of God will be a necessity, but you got to understand what's going on here. At one point, we were all children of Egypt. We were all Babylonians. We were all partaking in the Egyptian way of doing stuff, which includes ATM cards, going to Walmart, buying all of the food we can, and such. Well, when you get on the spiritual walk, a lot of this stuff gets purged away, and as you try to make the transition from living off Walmart to living off the land, as you can imagine, it can be difficult, especially when you're first getting started. So if you see this going on, and you could come in maybe with some flour, some sugar, or something else to help the people in this time of need, you're going to get huge credit for that. To be hospitable, for in hospitality there's sometimes great fruit. Now, hospitality, it works a whole lot more than ministering. I've been a minister now for almost 23 years. I've been behind a few pulpits doing classes. I've been a soul winner on the street. I've, done a few YouTube videos, and, I got a Facebook and I did a lot of stuff as far as ministry work. But I'm going to tell you, nothing works like hospitality. When you invite the person in your house and you show them what it's supposed to look like, opposed to just telling them what it looks like, it's big. So when you offer them and you give them food or whatever, hospitality. Not to be contentious. Let's look what contentions is. Argumentative, combative, quarrelsome, antagonistic, prickly, tetchy, naysaying, or belligerent. So when that goes about the other one having concord with one another. So, we're not contentious. We're not arguing. Now, it doesn't mean that you're agreeing with everything you hear. It just means that you're not arguing the point. You kind of just let the person just go on. Remembering what Dale Carnegie said, never tell the person that they're wrong, and all that kind of stuff. So you don't be contentious, but you be quiet, right? Let the Lord handle it. 11, to be humble above all men. Humbleness above all men. Now, that's a big word there, to be humble above all men, especially after you learn that the more humble you become, the more people take the opportunity to humble you. And it's like, dang, oh, wait. I'm human too, ain't I? Y'all got me on the status of a dog now, and y'all still telling me, well, anyway, let's go. To reverence the aged, to have respect for the aged. Remember, the scripture says that you stand before the hoary head and such, so you respect the aged. To labor to be righteous. Okay, so you try to be righteous. It is how you walk. You can't just wake up and say, I am righteous, therefore, you walk righteous. No, you have to labor to be such. And it involves stuff like the covenant, the laws, the commandments, statutes, judgments, precepts, the Bible. To respect the brotherhood. Now, what is the brotherhood? I think it may be talking about the nation of Israel, or the children of Israel getting along with one another as this brotherhood. I think it is. I don't think it's talking about Masons or Illuminati or nothing like that. To bear affronts. Now, what is an affront? Insults, injuries, slurs, slights, outrages, disrespects of something that offends, with the opposite being to compliment somebody. Now, walking in righteousness, you're going to have to bear affronts. Why? Because the other guys actually own the church in this time now. The people, the true righteous people, aren't the people down at the church. The people down at the church is the other guys. They're the hypocrites. I hate to, put all the churches in one thing. A lot of people get offended. But as a whole, the guys down there, the Protestant church and the Catholic church, they're not teaching the laws of Moses. They're not teaching what we're supposed to be doing. So when you ever come in contact with these people, guess what they're going to do? They're gonna call you demons. They're gonna call you evil. They're gonna call you the righteous one that's following the laws of Moses. They're gonna say that you are wrong, that you are a fool, that you are all of these bad things, but you got to take it. You got to take it, and it's hard because you're looking at them and it's like, I don't think I'm the fool here. But if you start to try to explain who's actually the fool there, then you're gonna start arguing and you're gonna be in contentiousness up there. So what does he say? Be quiet, just and you have to be long suffering. Because in this time period that we live in now, talking about the church people, and I'll pick on them a little bit right here. In this time that we're living in here, yeah, they're ignorant, they're off track, but they're going to find out later on that they're off track. And some of them are going to come try to get back on track. So what are you going to do? If you've cussed them out and did all this bad stuff, there may be some making up to do. But if you were long suffering and you tolerated their insults and all of that other kind of stuff, you can just kind of smile when they come over and try to get some of the blessings that the Lord is bestowing upon you during the tribulation age. And you have to forget how the devil was bestowing gifts upon them during the Piscean age, and they would not share them with you. In fact, anyway, go on. As you see, I have some problems with some of this stuff. Even still, I'm working on it. It is a spiritual walk. It is a labor to be righteous. It is not easy. It is not easy. It's not. And I struggle with a lot of this stuff. I look at it like, when I was in high school, when I was in college or whatever, I quickly learned that, the smartest people in the class, they never make good teachers. The guy that came in like, I didn't even study and I made an A. Well, ask him to explain something to you and he can't. It's the one that, that stayed up all night studying and made the C. He's the one that can teach you. Yeah. And that's what the spiritual walk is for me. It's like I'm having to learn everything. So, and I think I'm going to delete all that out. Anyway, let's go. Not to cast away those that are fallen from the faith. They'll be back. if they were ever in the faith, although they may have been beat up and such, but when spirit and truth comes and they understand, a lot of the reasons why they fell away from the church was satanic in nature. It wasn't, the Lord moving them or them moving them. It was, the hypocrites and, all of them people that were telling them lies and kind of, stirred up their faith a little bit. Well, once the spirit and truth comes back, they will be back, so don't get rid of them. Just, just kind of tolerate them. But to convert them, right? And try to bring them spirit and truth and make them to be of good cheer, because they said if they've ever walked with the Lord, if they ever put their hands to the plow and took them away, it's pretty rough. To admonish sinners. Let me look what admonish means. What does it mean to admonish a sinner? Reprove, caution, reprimand, rebuke, reproach, scold, chide, warn. Okay, well, yeah, you warn the sinners. You let them know that thing you're doing is an error. You're not. Let's see, like a lot of my friends, and a lot of your friends too, carry cell phones, and when they whip them out and start saying, taking selfies and such, I let them know you breaking the second commandment. Do you know that? But I don't get contentious with them after I gave them their warning and I hear their defensive mechanism going up. Oh, I'm not all that. Okay, well, you've been warned. That's it. Not to oppress those that are debtors, meaning the people that owe us money, or I guess it's debtors to us, so we don't oppress them, because what does it say? The head will become the tail will become the head. Well, if this person owes me money now in the Piscean age, chances are when it flips, he's going to be on top and I'm going to be begging him for stuff. So don't oppress him, because you can expect him to oppress you back. Do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. All other things of a like kind. Okay, here's the last verse. Do these things seem to be good or not? Yeah, they seem to be good. And I said, what can be better than these words? Live then, said he, in these commandments, and do not depart from them. For if thou shalt keep all these commandments, thou shalt live unto God. And all they that keep these commandments shall live unto God. All right. Now, look for another class on what it means to live unto God. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there in order to keep it short. We'll be hitting command 9 Lex, which is that we must ask God daily and without doubting. Shalom. Hermas Academy. Power, patience, continence, and faith. We teach virtue.